Welcome to the Namibia Annual Sports Expo. My name is Limba Mupetami. We have a host of interviews lined up for you guys from different federations in the country, just speaking about, just some of their success stories, highlights of what they are busy with, and so much more. This is, of course, just to inspire those that are out there who would like to join some of the clubs from these federations. And of course, for people just to get, general information about what these federations are for. Please stay tuned. Good day, my name is Limba Mupetami, and I'm joined today in studio by the president of the Namibia Electronic Sport Association, Flip the Brain, who is here to talk to you guys about their association. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, when it comes to electronic sport, people say that the gamers, is that what they're called, are athletes. And I don't know if I'm the only one who seemingly fails to understand what that is all about, because athletes move, right? But you guys sit and play games.
Yeah, sure. All right. So it's difficult to pinpoint exactly what to call them. The essence of electronic sports means sports conducted on any electronic platform. So that is your computer, PlayStation, mobile, cell phone gaming, VR. So some of the, let's say, categories within this, you are quite busy, and some of them not. But I think there is a little bit of a debate going on around what to call them, because the most accepted term at this point is e-athletes, because they are now classifying esports under what they call mind sports, not traditional sports, as there are also instances like, for example, the Olympics, where we have been invited, or the let's say the international organization that we belong to have been invited to do a demonstration title at the next Olympics. So yes, I understand that people are not 100% comfortable with the term athlete due to the physical involvement, but that being said, it's such a wide scope. For example, we are also partnering with other associations like motorsports because of the driving simulation. So there are also various other, let's say, activities outside the realm of sitting down and playing. For example, you might have heard about AR games. One very popular instance of this is the Pokemon Go, where the kids have to walk all over the place to catch these little monsters on their phones, and that now makes you active again. So that's why it's really a very, let's say, deep conversation one has to have before you can say they're athletes, they're not athletes, they're e-athletes. But I think the best term for now would be e-athlete.
All right, so when did you get into the sport?
Myself?
Yes.
Oh, goodness. I think when I was born, before I got a dummy, my mother bought me a Sega, and I started playing before I did anything else. So no, me personally, in a professional sense, from about, let's say, grade 7, about there, that we started playing in terms of team structures and competitions and things like that. But casually, I've been doing this all my life. But I was also, when I was younger, I was very balanced. I did do the physical sports. I did do the, let's say now, mind sports. So it was very balanced for me. But I got involved quite early, and then for what we do now, we've been doing for about 12, 13 years in terms of professionalizing it in Africa and everything like that.
Okay, but just for interest's sake, gaming is quite expensive. Electronic sport is quite expensive. I mean, like, you buy, I don't know really what all of these things are, but like PSL, for instance, you buy a game for like what now? I don't know how much it is now, maybe $600 and stuff. Where are you at when it comes to the type of game that you're playing, or the type of stuff that you are buying? What exactly is going on there?
Okay, so that's actually a very good question. The esports scene, as I mentioned earlier, it's very diverse, ranging from mobile gaming to PlayStation to PC to VR setups, and I mean every one of these has an associated entry-level, cost. For example, you are correct almost there. A PS5 would probably cost you around 20,000 Namibian dollars, and the game costs 1,500. So that's not for everybody. So that is one thing that we're looking at, is the accessibility in terms of what titles we choose and what games we promote in Namibia. One, let's say, a much more accessible platform is something like mobile gaming, because everybody already has, well, as far as I know, almost every child under the age of 25.
And they're very fast with those things.
They have it. Yeah. So that's why we are trying to start focusing on established platforms, or platforms that are easier for people to get access to, because it's very important for us at this point in time to get more people into the scene, to understand that you can now build a professional career out of this, that you can get Namibian colours for this, that you can go and play in big tournaments for up to €1 million for this. Some of the players we sent play in very big tournaments. So yes, but to also be very specific here, we belong to an international organization called the IESF, the International Esports Federation. And basically what they do is they talk to publishers, so the guys who make the games, and they say, okay, this year we're going to have these 4 games. So then all the countries that are members have their qualifiers, and then we select players from our countries to go and play in the World Championships. And every year those games are dictated by them. And we as the member countries just more or less have our qualifiers and look for players there. But we're also trying to build the Namibian scene, because the games that we like in Namibia or in South Africa or in the southern part of Africa are very different from the games that are more popular in Europe or America or the Asian region. So it's a vast discussion.
It sounds like a very addictive sport. Okay, but just quickly, maybe you can just talk about, if we haven't catched it yet, when the sport was established in Namibia, and what exactly is happening? Maybe just what are you guys busy with? Okay,
so yeah, to put it very simple, in 2008 and 2009, we started I wasn't part of the group back then, but a group of people, they started a tournament called NAMLAN, which is still the biggest esports event we have every year at the end of the year. I think this year will be the first year where it's not in December, but rather in January, just due to COVID stuff and people traveling and everything like that. So that's our biggest event. So basically in 2008 and 2009, we had that event, but South Africa caught wind of this, and their equivalent of their Electronic Sports Association contacted us, which is called MSSA, contacted us and said, but listen, why can't Namibia and South Africa play? Then we said, okay, but we're not officially recognized. So we went to our sports commission and we got registered in 2010. And then since then, we've been operating and just going higher and higher every year.
But do you have women gamers as well?
Yes, we actually have a very diverse, like I say, game selection. So you'll find that in certain platforms and certain games, it's more male favored. Some games are more female favored. Some games are very young age favored. So every game has a group that specifically plays it. Unfortunately, to be very honest with you, the current titles are very male favored, but we are working towards establishing a platform for female gamers to also go out there, because we have quite a lot actually. Yeah. I know at least 20 personally, but I think it's just because female gamers don't tend to play in group of competitive games as early as their male counterparts do. But don't get me wrong, it's not that they're bad at all. Some of them are better than me. So.
Yeah. Okay, but coming back to the question that I had,
yes.
When you're a gamer, do you guys also modify games? Are the people who modify games? Because I know with motorsport, you can get a BMW and then you put in your tires, I don't know where you get them, but yeah, you modify all of these things. And do you also modify games? Is that possible?
It depends on how you look at it. Yeah. No, you can't necessarily, if you ask me in the professional scene, if you can modify a game, you can, but you'll most likely be caught and kicked, because that's, we call it hacking. You're not allowed to do that, or exploiting. We are very strict in terms of how these tournaments are conducted. And normally, if you do trespass or let's say transgress any of these guidelines, If you find you doing anything like, there's also what we call mechanical doping. So if you buy a very expensive keyboard and it remembers the combinations and you don't have to do it, if we find something on your PC that has modified the game in any way, you will lose your spot in that tournament.
All right, just some of the development stuff that you guys have planned for the association, perhaps?
Okay, so right now our biggest focus is taking esports to schools. This is very important to us because I'll take myself as the example again. I loved rugby, I played cricket, I did wrestling, but I also like games, but there wasn't a career path for me. There wasn't anywhere I could go on school level. If you were a person, let's say if you wanted to compete in the mind realm, in mind sports, you had debate and you had the math Olympiads. But that's not the only thing, that's out there. So we definitely want to push it out there because there are certain people, I think, that will excel and that can't do physical sports. You have para athletes that you can get involved here. You have some kids that are physically just not as strong or as fast, but they will put the amount of time in there to get to a very good level. So right now we are working very hard, talking to schools, getting esports into schools. But at the same time, we have to fight a very big stigma, which is our other part that we're doing. The stigma is, if gamers are generally thought of as these guys who just sit on the couch all day, chips
and waste electricity, yes.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Okay, so that's generally, and for many, many years, this is true. Yeah. That was true. That was what gaming is. But now, for example, we have to push out what we call our healthy gaming initiative. What that is if you ask anybody, how many hours a week are you allowed to game? How far from the screen should you be? What age groups or what games can my child play and not play? How do I turn this into a career? How can I start using my games to pay for my electricity bills?
Of course, yes.
So all of these, so there's a lot of education that comes with this, not just with the healthy part, with the career development part. So there's a lot of things that we have to develop and educate the country on now to say, you can't really compare those stereotypes. They are out there, of course, but you can't compare that to the professional scene. It's just like if you take any sport, for example, the guys playing in the street, you can't take them and their unruliness and the lack of rules and say, but look at the sport. That's not fair.
Yeah.
So we also do have a very big mental part because we do know that a lot of children, especially who have a tough time in life, in school and so on, they retreat from the world and they go into this digital world where they are not judged, they are not bullied. So we are looking at also working on programs to find those kids and make them part of a community, even just online.
Yeah.
Because it's still better for you to become part of a group, someone that you can talk to, someone that's actually here that you can sometimes meet physically, because we want to get them, we want to make them feel safe, and then in time bring them out of their room, out of their home, into the world. And so esports is a very, very big and dynamic world. It's a ecosystem of a lot of things that we have to implement.
All right. Now, just some of your success stories, perhaps, that you have, and the registration process and fees for people who might be interested in joining the association.
All right. So success stories. Yeah, we've actually got quite a few. As I said, we started in 2010. From 2010 up to about 2017, we played in a lot of test matches versus South Africa, versus Ghana, versus a lot of places, and we actually won a lot of those. So we definitely knew we had the talent. And from 2018, I think we've almost sent a team to the World Championships every year. One was in okay, with the exception of last year with lockdowns and so on. But so they've been sent to Taiwan and South Korea and all these places, and they actually do they haven't won yet, but we're learning a lot because the challenges that we have is numbers, and the other part of it is infrastructure, because there aren't publishers that really open servers or service centers for the games here. So everything we rely on comes from Europe. Yeah. But putting that aside, we actually won South Africa last year, or we beat them in Dota and Tekken. We unfortunately lost in PES, but now at the end of September we're playing them again, and if we win, we're going to the World Championship again. So what they did now to reduce the number of people in the World Championship is they said, okay, everybody will play against all the countries in their region. So we're in the Southern African region, and if you win that, you can go to the World Championships, and we already won Dota this year. So we at least have one team going to Israel this year. So yeah, no, we've been doing quite well.
Okay, for somebody like myself, for example, I like football, I like karate, I like boxing and that type of thing. Now, the only game that I've played is I've played football on Xbox.
Okay.
Right? And there's what would you suggest? What game would you suggest for me to pick?
Look, okay. So, as I said earlier, the games change the whole time. So I would say, look, the two big games is FIFA and PES. Now, for some years they pick FIFA, some years they pick PES. So it would be very dangerous for me to say you need to practice FIFA and then they pick PES, because then your hours of practice are going to, fall away. But for now, if you want to compete in the pro circuit, what we are doing now is PES, for those who are interested.
All right, so that is what you're doing as well?
Yes, so for this year, we have Tekken 7, we have eFootball PES 2021, we have Dota 2, and we have Counter-Strike.
All right.
So those are the four, but unfortunately for this year, the qualifiers are closed. The only big tournament that we have that is coming up is as I mentioned earlier, in January, which is NAMLAN.
Yeah.
So as you asked, the people who want to get involved, they can find us on Facebook, the Namibian Electronic Sports Association. We also have a website, esportsnamibia.org. And on both of these platforms, we have Twitter, all of these things. You can also just search for the Namibian Electronic Sports Association or NESA on any of these platforms. And we communicate all our titles, the dates, the competitions, prize money, if there is any. We communicate all of these this information on those platforms. And as soon as we start launching this healthy gaming initiative, we also putting out tips and information for teachers and parents and the athletes themselves, e-athletes themselves on that platform.
All right. Thank you so much, Flip, for coming to the Expo and just, explaining some of these things to us. I'm very informed right now, guys. I think I'll be buying my PSL very soon. So thank you so much for coming through.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, and bye-bye. I'm joined in studio by Freddie Masela, the first Black African e-athlete who took part at the World Championships. How was that experience like, Freddie?
Well, the experience was amazing. I won't even lie. And it was literally my first time on a plane as well, and my first time going to another country. And like there's this thing that they say that the air smells different. Well, yeah, it's actually true.
Really? I've been on the plane. The air smells the same.
No, I mean like when you land in a different country.
Of course, pollution. Yeah.
So that whole experience was amazing. It was new to me. It was extremely challenging. I won't even lie, because the people on the other side, they actually take gaming like completely serious. They actually take it as a career. It's actually a whole career for them.
Yeah.
So they make money out of it. Obviously, like the competitions are much more than it is here in Namibia. And like it was, but all in all, it was amazing. It was a good experience. I learned a lot. I brought back what I learned from those tournaments, and I brought back and I told and I showed my people, like, this is how it is. This is how it's supposed to be. Let's try and get there.
Yeah, and speaking about, making a career out of gaming, how do you break these type of stereotypes where, people say, if you are a gamer, you just sit on the couch, you're lazy, you don't have aspirations to do other things. Are there other things that you're involved with as well, apart from being an e-athlete?
Well, other than just doing like personal workouts and whatsoever, that's pretty much what I do. But like, to break that stereotype is just to let people actually know that there is something in the future for gaming. But then you also have to consider that there's a difference between just a normal gamer, which you can say influences that stereotype whereby they just sit around and just do nothing.
Yeah.
And then there's the professional gamer that actually games, that actually finds a way to make himself better, because he's not just playing for the fun of it. He's actually playing to get to a top. He's playing to reach a certain level that he can achieve. And then later on, after that you can go to different countries or whatsoever, and then actually get sponsorship from other people that actually see what you can do and what your capabilities are. So it's more or less like you're the underdog, and then boom, then you actually make a career out of it.
All right, just to maybe just explain, when it comes to gaming, do you guys look for sponsorship, for people to sponsor if you want to take part in a competition, for instance? Maybe is there an aspect where you maybe train before a championship? What exactly goes on in that process?
Well, okay, we do search for sponsorships. But other than just searching for sponsorships, like searching for sponsorships is one thing, but now getting ready for a specific tournament or a specific game title, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of dedication, and it takes a lot of discipline. Just like how it would be in any other sports, like martial arts, you need a certain amount of discipline to be able to reach that certain type of, like, let's say you want to reach the black belt, you have to do a lot of training, practicing, sleepless nights, all of that. Now with gaming, it's a little more complex, because now you have to know the game mechanics itself.
Yeah.
So you have to know things like frame data. You have to know things like a specific character that you have to fight against. You have to know what their specific move sets are. You have to, now some guys go to the extra mile of actually listening to sound cues just to know what they can avoid and how they can counter and all of that. So that's...
Also, you need to have specific, what are maybe just the skills that you need?
Yeah.
And your secret, that makes you successful in gaming.
Well, my secret is, well, if I let you know, it's not a secret anymore. But
a tip for some of us that are coming now into gaming.
A tip for anybody that's coming into gaming is as soon as you get into a game, don't force it. Don't try and force yourself into liking a game. Just if you feel that you can connect with the game, then by all means go for it. Give in your all, give in your whole heart, and don't let the stereotype actually stop you from actually making something out of yourself.
Okay.
Because the stereotypes usually just bring a lot of people down, and especially in traditional families, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, just keep going, give in your all, and practice.
Yeah. Now, what do you call that thing that you handle? Is the stimulator, the control?
The controller, yeah.
How often do you replace that? I really want to know. I mean, because it's a lot of pressing and stuff. The handle should.
It's a lot. It's a lot of replacement.
Yeah.
I've once a year. I remember replacing my controllers at least 3 to 4 times.
Yeah, they must give you a discount.
Yeah.
Wherever you're buying them.
And the controllers cost at least like $1,000.
Yeah.
So $1,000 per controller. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. For the young guys that are out there who are obviously coming up, taking the interest in e-gaming. Is that the right word? E-gaming. What would your advice be?
My advice would be, keep going. Don't give up. Push forward. And don't let anybody try and stop you from reaching the goal that you set out for yourself. Be it gaming, be it gaming. Don't give up.
Thank you so much, Freddie. Well, of course, that is Freddie from the Electronic Sports Association, just talking to us about e-gaming and just all of the things that are involved. So thank you so much for coming to studio, and just keep pushing. Just keep pushing.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
A few weeks ago, I would never do this on a Saturday morning. Back then, I was standing in line all day Now it's just like that.
You are using the FNB banking app like I told you.
Girl, it saved my weekend. Now I can do all my banking on this.
Payments, transfers, checking statements.
Even opening accounts.
Just like that.
Oh, did I tell you what my husband did?
Even me, I want to save time with the, what's the name of the app?
FNB app.
Don't be left behind. Make the switch to the FNB app, online banking or cell phone banking, and change the way you bank to change your life. FNB, how can we help you?